lesson, we're going to compare the following numbers, A, B, and C, given here. And what that means is we're going to compare which of these is larger and smaller than each other. So we're just going to see which one's bigger or do they equal and things like that. And this is for positive integers such that 1 is less than A to the power of B minus 3, which is less than B to the power of A minus 5. And what I'm going to do first is rewrite this. So this part right here, instead of 1, I'm going to write it with A. So A to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So that's going to be less than A to the power of B minus 3, which is less than B to the power of A minus 5. So separating this out, that means that A to the power of B minus 3 is greater than 1. And so since it's greater than 1, I'm going to put A to the power of 0. Since my bases match here, that means my B minus 3 is greater than 0. Just comparing my powers. And the same thing for this one here. We have B to the power of A minus 5 is also greater than A to the power of 0. That means B, this A minus 5 is going to be A minus 5 is also going to be positive. And we also have B to the power of A minus 5 is greater than A to the power of B minus 3. So if I cross multiply, I'm going to get B to the power of A minus 5, and I'm just dividing both sides by this. You get A to the power of B minus 3, and that's going to be greater than 1. So I'm just moving this down here, and that would be a 1. So that gives you 1. And this is what we're going to be using to do our problem. So you might want to write that down because this problem takes a little bit of time. So now we're going to compare. And the way we're going to compare these is we're going to do A divided by B, then A divided by C, and then B divided by C. So A divided by B. So we're going to take this divided by this. All right. So this is going to be 1 divided by, or this is A to the power of 1 divided by A minus 5 times B to the power of 1 divided by B minus 3. All divided by B. My B is going to be A to the power of negative 1 divided by A minus 5 times 1 divided by, or B to the power of 1 divided by B minus 3. And what happens is these two cancel. So we're left with this. And this gives us A to the power of 1 divided by A minus 5 divided by A to the power of negative 1 divided by A minus 5. Now since my bases are the same and we're dividing, we can subtract this. It's A to the power of 1 divided by A minus 5 and minus, and this is a negative, so it's minus a negative 1 divided by A minus 5. And this is going to give us 2, because that 1 minus a negative, the same is the same. So we're going to have 2 divided by A minus 5, A to that power. All right. Now, we know from before that we have A minus 5 is greater than 0. So that means, and that's given here, that 2 divided by A minus 5 is also positive. So now if we have A to the power of 2 divided by A minus 5 greater than A to the power of 0, that means we have A to the power of 2 divided by a minus 5 is greater than 1. That tells you that a divided by b is greater than 1. You cross multiply, you're going to get a is greater than b. So this was our goal. So a is greater than b. Now we have to go through and do the rest of them. We're going to do a divided by c. So a divided by c, and you just copy this a and c down. And so we're going to get a to the power of 1 divided by a minus 5 times b divided by 1 divided by b minus 3, all divided by a divided by 1 divided by a minus 5 times b to the power of negative 1 divided by b minus 3. And what happens is these two cancel, and then we're going to do the same thing we did before. So this is just going to give us, since we have this, using your properties of exponents, we're going to get b to the power of 2 divided by b minus 3, just like we did before. All right, we also had that b minus 3 was greater than 0. That was from the first slide. So b minus 3 is greater than 0. That means 2 divided by this right here, 2 divided by b minus 3 is also greater than 0. That means b to the power of 2 divided by b minus 3 is greater than b to the power of 0. And I can just change this to a 1. And then you're going to have a divided by c, because this is a divided by c, has to be greater than 1. You cross multiply, and a is greater than c. So we had that a is greater than b, and a is greater than c so far. And the last one we have to do is b divided by c. So b divided by c. And you just copy down your b. So a to the power of negative 1 divided by a minus 5 times b to the power of 1 divided by b minus 3. And then c, copy that one down. Negative 1 divided by b minus 3. Now in this one, nothing cancels out. But we can do what we did before. We already know what this is, and we know what this is. So this is just going to equal b to the power of 2 divided by b minus 3 divided by a to the power of b of 2 divided by a minus 5. Whoops, sorry. And then this is going to be simplified. What we can do is factor out this. So I can write this as b to the power of a minus 5 divided by a to the power of b minus 3, and then set this power out as 2, this 2 here, and get your common denominator for this. So this would be a minus 5 times b minus 3. So looking at this, we have b to the power of a minus 5 divided by a to the power of b minus 3 is greater than 1. So now looking at this, that means 2 divided by a minus 5 times b minus 3 is greater than 0. So since this is b divided by c, we have b divided by c is greater than 1. That means b is greater than c. So given all that we have b greater than c. we have A greater than B and A greater than C. So writing this all out, that would mean our A is greater than B, which is greater than C. If you want to switch it around, you could say C is less than B is less than A. Either one of those is fine. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.